Hello everyone. In light of Touhou 6's 20-year anniversary, I decided to make a video where I horribly explain the game, so here goes nothing. Touhou 6 Personification of Crimson Devil is a bullet hell game developed by the world's most alcoholic man, Zun. I swear, every single time this man appears anywhere, there is beer in his general vicinity. You may not have ever heard of or seen this man in your entire life, but I can almost guarantee that you will have listened to one of his compositions at some point in your life. Remember Ronald McDonald Insanity? That's originally this track. Remember Night of Nights? Yep, that's an arrangement of this one. Remember Bad Apple? Yeah, he originally did that one as well. Needless to say, a lot of people have enjoyed this man's music, even though he spends only 4 hours creating it, according to him. Zun's work goes back all the way to Touhou 1 in the late 90s, but Touhou 6 was the first Windows game, so we can just kinda forget about the previous games, just like Zun does. Touhou at this point in time has over 30 games, but since number 6 was the first one developed for Windows, Zun has decided to retcon all the previous lore and characters and just reset the Touhou cinematic universe. Touhou 6's gameplay, just like any other bullet hell, revolves around the incredibly difficult task of staying alive, all the while firing your own bullets towards whatever is on the screen at that point in time. And if that's not hard enough for you, you have to do it while the screen becomes so riddled with bullets that it would put the average Texan household to shame. These incredible machinations of Funny Hat Man's mind are called spell cards, and every boss has a bunch of them. The game consists of 6 stages total, each with a boss at the end of the stage that usually takes more time to beat than progressing through the actual stage. Throughout the game you collect the red and blue power-ups. Red ones infuse you with steroids so your shot power is increased, while the blue ones give you more score. You can also graze bullets to get more score, which is also very effective. Luckily though, you're not all by yourself while trying to stay alive. A beer god was so kind to bless you with multiple lives and the ability to gain more lives at certain score intervals, so you better get good at setting high scores, you fucking casual. You can also use homemade IEDs to bomb all the enemies that are currently on the screen. You have limited bombs as well, but can always salvage more from the corpses of your fallen foes. Bombing just after you get hit can save you from losing a life, but the time frame to do this is extremely tiny, so I wouldn't recommend relying on this tactic if you're a new player. Pressing shift slows you down and focuses your shots more. In future games this also shows the hitbox on top of your character. EOSD does not have this, but it is available via a patch, which I didn't know existed when I finished this game for the first time 1.5 years ago. That was a basic rundown of the mechanics of the game. Now there are a bunch more ways to maximize getting points, but they're kind of less important. Just go to the top of the screen as often as you can when you're at full power, so you can collect all the items that are on the screen, and if you do that, you should be fine. Now to talk about the actual story of the game. We start the story by picking a character and difficulty setting. One thing you should note is that the dialogue changes based on what character you pick, obviously. I'm pretty casual, so I just play Reimu A on normal difficulty. The story starts us off in Gensokyo, where a red mist has suddenly appeared. We decide to go out and investigate because we apparently have enough vision to look through a mist that is so thick it can literally block out the sun. On our way to the lake where the supposed source of the mist is located, we run into Rumiya, who is a mostly harmless stage 1 boss unless you've seen the Osana Reimu story, in which case you'd be having a PTSD attack right about now. I honestly have no clue what Reimu and Rumiya's conversation is about other than eating something. Rumiya asks if Reimu is edible, at which point Reimu responds with an untranslatable Japanese idiom. Classic Touhou. We beat up Rumiya and progress towards the lake, where we are introduced to one of the strongest Touhou characters ever, Daiyose. I am kidding, of course. We encounter Cherno, who is one of the most memed characters in all of Touhou history. She challenges us to a fight, and the dialogue is filled with more untranslatable idioms. The important thing is that she's in our way and therefore needs to be blown up like all of the other enemies of the state. Since Rumiya and Cherno do not appear to have any relation to the mist, we progress on towards the manor, where an entire combat battalion is swiftly wiped out by Reimu and her orbs. This is where we meet Hong Mei Ling, the gatekeeper of the Scarlet Land. Mei-Ling jokes that Reimu, being a shrine maiden, is of the edible kind of human, but Reimu has heard enough of those kinds of jokes and probably beats her up for making one. She then has Mei-Ling show her the way to the mansion. Stage 4 is where we enter the library, where we are eventually stopped by Patchouli Knowledge. No, I did not make that name up. Patchouli is what is known in our world as a NEET, which means she is incredibly reclusive and has extremely poor health due to a combination of this and asthma. At this point I wouldn't be surprised if half the things she eats for dinner are microwave meals. She tells Reimu she can't just go rampaging around the library because the books that are there are worth more than all the donations Reimu's shrine gets, which doesn't really say anything about the book's value. Reimu tells her the mist is a big problem. Patchouli says she cannot allow Reimu to see the master of the house. Unfortunately, Patchouli's knowledge is no match for Reimu's IEDs. In stage 5 we enter a place I like to call the hallway, until we are stopped by gender-bent maid Dio Brando cleaning the entire mansion all by herself. I have no clue how she pulls this off. Sakuya tells us we're interrupting her eternal cleaning and asks if we're a guest of the mistress. Reimu thinks of something to say, but before she literally says anything, Sakuya says she's not allowed to meet the mistress. Unfortunately, not even stopping time works against the power of God, so Reimu beats Sakuya up and heads up to meet the master of the house. Sakuya shows up again in stage 6 just before we meet the final boss of the game and breaks the fourth wall by saying she wants to at least make us waste a bomb before the final boss. Reimu promptly complies and blows her up. Now we finally arrive at the big boss of the mansion, Remelia Scarlet. Remelia calls her own maid useless and then tries to spin off morality on Reimu by saying she is the murderer. Reimu says it was only one person, which implies that she has in fact killed someone in the past. Remelia then tells us she is the one behind the mist incident and follows it up by sending death threats to Reimu's Twitter account. Reimu then finds Remelia to decide who needs to get cancelled on Twitter.com. After a long and hard fight, Reimu finally beats Remelia. What happens afterwards is something I'm not allowed to say because Zun will literally kill me if I do. After beating the game without continues, you can always try out the extra stage and fight against Remelia's little sister, Flanders. Allez, manneke, amai. Who is an even bigger shut-in than Patchouli is because she has been stuck in the basement for 495 years. Before you ask, yes, this is in fact the boss of the extremely memed up theme. I don't want to spoil this fight too much, and I really recommend you try this fight yourself. I mean, I haven't even beaten it myself at the time of making this video. Touhou 6 is still fondly remembered by a lot of Touhou players worldwide. While its mechanics pale in comparison to the later additions to the series, it makes up for this by having extremely memorable characters and one of the most banger soundtracks in all of gaming. Embodiment of Scarlet Devil, together with the games released after it, were instrumental in bringing the Touhou project to a big light in Japan and later the world. And with this one being the first Windows game, I can't help but respect it. Hell, even Toby Fox, known Touhou nerd, played this game and Perfect Cherry Blossom's demo back when he was in middle school. Now I'd like to talk about how important it is for the game industry to have game developers like Zun and Toby Fox, but I'll leave that to a future video. I'd recommend EOSD to people who enjoy a good challenge and aren't quick to give up. You should also be able to deal with Zun's dated art style. I hope you all enjoyed this little summary of Touhou 6. I might make some more in the future, but for now I hope you all have a nice day and I wish Touhou 6 a happy 20th anniversary. Peace out.